Dear listeners, in this presentation I'd like to introduce you to the concepts of education for sustainable development. This presentation is divided into two parts. The first one deals with education for sustainable development, what are the interrelations between education, and what are also the aims and purposes of ESD. And the second part is a workshop, a role play, which I'd like to introduce to you. So starting with the first part. In the Declarations of Human Rights from 1948, it's stated that everyone has the right to education. And what does this really mean also for our life and for us in society? So what is really the purpose and aim of education? Why do we educate our children? What's the aim of it? And when we discuss this, the answers can be quite different also. For instance, a very basic answer would be we like to ensure survival with education. Another one, we like to prepare young people for their life as responsible citizens. Or we like to prepare people also for their occupational life. Albert Einstein once said, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. So this is also an interesting approach how we can see education and also the aim and purpose of education. What do we now understand by education? What's the definition of education? In a broader sense, education describes the means through which the habits of a group of people are handed from generation to generation. Education is seen as a formal process by which society transmits its knowledge, skills and values from generation to generation. This happens in institutions like schools or university. So it's the focus on this formal process and also on this intergenerational approach that we pass on our knowledge to generation, from one generation to another. What is the role of education in society? As we already heard, it plays a major role in supporting the national development goals and meeting also the needs and aspirations of a society. And what is also a challenge that education needs to solve or needs to face is this balance in integrating several tensions, for instance between the global and the local, or the universal and the individual, tradition and modernity, especially when we think of this intergenerational approach. What are long-term and short-term considerations in education? It's about competition and cooperation at the same time, the spiritual and the material, and also about the existing curriculum and important new areas of knowledge we like to integrate into our educational system as well. Education for sustainable development was first mentioned in 1992 at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, and it was integrated in this important outcome document, the Agenda 21. Chapter 36 identifies 4 major thrusts of ESD, which are improving access to quality basic education. So we also have to focus on the quality of the education, not only to have access to education. It's about reorienting existing education programs, developing a public understanding and awareness for sustainability issues, and providing training. So also aspects what we like to focus on in this EduCamp project and in these training modules. What is also interesting to mention is that education for sustainable development was initiated from people outside of the education community, but in the last years it really became a multi-stakeholder dialogue where researchers, school teachers, people from ministries, from NGOs together get into a discussion about ESD issues and the importances of ESD. Why is education important for achieving sustainable development? It presents a tool to pursue the vision of sustainable development and also improve our quality of life. For instance, Daniela Dilbury mentions for her ESD is the way of thinking holistically about our future, so really seeing the whole picture, having those system understanding. And education should be recognized also as a process by which human beings and societies can reach their fullest potential. In the UNECE strategy for ESD, they identified or developed the vision that education for sustainable development should develop and strengthen the capacity of individuals, groups, communities, organizations and countries to make judgments and choices in favor of sustainable development. So what are integrative aspects of ESD? First, it's about envisioning, so being able to imagine also a better future for all. And the idea behind this is, so when we really know where we want to go, it will be easier, and we will be better able to work out how we get there, how we can reach our aim. Then it's about critical thinking and reflection, so that we learn that we also question our current belief systems and to recognize the assumptions underlying our knowledge, perspectives and opinions, so that with this critical thinking and reflection that we learn to examine economic, environmental, social or cultural structures in the context of sustainable development. It's about systemic thinking, so that we really can see this whole picture and the complexity and also holistic approach of sustainability issues and be able to find solutions to these problems. It's about building partnerships, so really promoting dialogue, negotiation and also learning to work together. And it's about participation in decision making and hence empowering people to take actions in the field of ESD and really involve all different stakeholders and people who work on these issues and are interested on these issues. The World Wildlife Fund has developed 6 cornerstones of ESD, and in this field also key questions for teachers. So what is important when dealing with ESD? It's this holistic approach, lifelong learning, democratic work methods, different perspectives, reflections and having the learners in the focus. When you think about this holistic approach, the questions comes up, how can we link environmental, social and economic aspects when we are educating? When we see the learners in the focus, we can ask, so what importance is the learners also pre-knowledge and knowledge in the learning process? So really that we also focus on this learning process and not only on the current knowledge level. It's about lifelong learning. In what way can you as a facilitator, as a teacher, support your students also to rethink and to be innovative and also to be able to keep on learning your whole life? Reflection. In what way do you as a teacher encourage the learners to think in a critical way and also to reflect your understanding, your perspectives? To have different perspectives. So how do you manage your students to look at the world from different perspectives? We will, in the second part of this presentation, I will introduce you to this role play where we focus on these different perspectives. And democratic work methods. So do the students have any possibility to influence their education, their learning process and also the surrounding society? Can they participate in this learning and teaching process in an active way? So these are key questions that might be interesting for teachers, that they think about it for themselves. Then I will introduce you to these 6 cornerstones. Holistic approach, what does it mean? It teaches skills to connect issues of ecological carrying capacity to issues of social justice and economic sustainability. And it especially calls for this cross-curricular and cross-sectoral approach when we think of education. We have the learners in the focus, that they really use their own questions and expertise as a starting point. And this is based on an approach in which the learner builds knowledge in interaction with others, so also having teamwork and more collaboration between the students. Lifelong learning, it paves the way for the ability to rethink and think anew and to be innovative. It's this working process oriented and values for processes and results. And it develops this progression in ESD, so that we really keep on learning and that we want to learn also new things in life. Then it's about different perspectives. So this supports the critical analysis from different perspectives. For instance, ethical, historic, how do we think about the past, the present and the future, and also takes a stand in when interests come into conflict. And it's about the discussion about issues of values and interests which are central in this field. Then the reflection. We like to develop skills for a critical analysis of where we are heading and for developing visions and strategies for a more sustainable society, and encourage a continuous inner reflection and a more concrete form also of listening, expressing, writing and also artistic creation. And at last, the democratic work methods. This means that we like to let learners influence also their school, their surrounding community, that they really can take part, be active and make themselves also active creators, as I said, for their own education and their own efforts in society. So what's now the role of education in sustainable development when it comes to contents? In education we like to build capacity in the sustainability dimensions. For society, it's about the understanding of your role in development, in democracy, participation, community participation, inclusion, human rights, social justice, that we respect each other, care for each other. Then it's about the environment, understanding, respect and care also for ecological systems, resources, biodiversity, all those environmental issues. In the field of economy, it's the sensitivity to limits and potential of economic growth, and also the economic impact on society and the environment. It deals with consumption and production, for instance. And in the last dimension, the cultural dimension, it's about understanding the values that influence and shape individual choices and also societies. And we have to see this really integrated in an integrative and holistic way, that we like to build capacity, or education likes to build capacity in these 4 sustainability dimensions. What's now the relationship between education and sustainable development? We already talked about this. It should improve the quality of life. With education, we like to implement sustainability aspects. So we have the assumption that educated and informed citizens, they are key in implementing sustainability issues and strategies, because they have the knowledge and also competencies to take actions in this field. and it's about decision making for sustainable development, that educated, informed citizens, they can better participate also in community development and better shape their future to a more sustainable life. So we already talked about being able to take action. So it's not enough that we know we have the knowledge about a project, about a problem, about a challenge, and also know about alternative actions. But we also need the courage, the responsibilities, and the willingness to act and to take these actions, to seek for normative motivations, to be aware of your own values and perspectives, also know what are the possibilities in society. So really to have this whole picture, the knowledge and the skills to be able to take action. We heard about that basic education, it is a key to a nation's ability to develop and achieve sustainability targets, and also to the development process of a nation. And in very close interlinkage, education and women can be seen. So the access to basic education can really have tremendous impacts for women. It changes their lives, their economic and social status, and also how they are able to interact with society, with their community. And educated women, they tend to marry later and have fewer but healthier children. They are more self-confident and gain a higher status also in society, and they are better able to participate in community life and development. So to summarize these thoughts, we can say that when education shifts to education for sustainable development, it's a shift from only passing on knowledge to understanding and really getting to the roots of issues. It's about teaching attitudes and values to encourage your learners to clarify their own values, to really reflect their values. It's not seeing people as the problem, but seeing people as a facilitator of change. It's not this frontal teaching so that you send only messages, but it's more a dialogue, negotiation, and also to take action. That it's not only that you should behave as an expert, as a teacher, so that it's only formal, but that you more act as a partner, as a mentor in this learning process, more on the informal basis as well. It's not only that you like to raise awareness, but you really like to change the mental models which influence the decisions and perspectives of the students. And it's from changing behavior to more focused on structural and institutional change. So this was the first part of my introduction to education for sustainable development. And now in the second part, I would like to introduce to you a workshop, a role play. Thank you.